Hello,
Hey, hey,
everyone.
hey, hey, hey,
Why do we always
hey,
sing
hey, hey.
Hi, guys.
We're here.
We're here. We made it. Willie is like right above me somehow on like a shelf, so that's
The
fun.
cats are crazy.
Cats are crazy. So welcome to episode 10. How crazy is that?
10.
10. We're double digis.
It's happened. We're double digis. It's happened. We made it, y'all.
Yeah. I think it would be fun. So we have a special guest tonight. Our friend Amanda is going to be talking to us for about an hour. And then we'll shoot a little Patreon bonus as always. So we're excited to have her on. She's a good buddy. But I think it'll be fun to just like catch up on what's been going on like the last week. And then of course our like little housekeeping that we always do. But I think like the biggest thing to bring up was the What's Up Weirdo Live. What would you say?
Oh, I just said always.
Always. I was like, oh no, is there internet issues already?
No, just like hyping.
Oh yeah. Woo, woo, woo. Okay. What's Up Weirdo Live? Sunday.
That was sick.
It was incredible. It was so much fun. Love that John, I was with the waiting room and I was like waiting on the guys. And I was driving and I was waiting for the guys to text me and be like, okay, we're in, like, pull over. And John just has me on the show randomly.
Driving.
The first guest, and I was like, all right, I mean, this matches that energy.
It was the perfect energy. It was the perfect energy, dude. We loved it. As a person that sat there on their ass for 5 fucking hours and watched that thing so enthralled, I had such a good time. I didn't even know 5 hours passed.
Right.
I almost forgot to call in.
I wanted you to call in like more. I just wanted you to be on the whole show.
I'm not going to lie. There was a couple of other times where I did have something to add to the conversation, but I was literally waiting for pizza delivery. So
that was the name of the game for a lot of people, I think, that night. I was like, when did John step away to order?
Yeah, that was
pizza.
His pizza. He was like, I'm waiting for pizza. And then it literally showed up in like 30 seconds. I was like, whoa.
I feel like that's some Virgo shit to like schedule it ahead, like knowing that morning, like, oh, I'm going to have pizza maybe by this time. This should be halfway through the show. That's some Virgo.
I doubt it. I doubt that. Who does that?
I don't know. Smart people.
Who thinks? Who plans ahead? Do any of y'all in the chat plan ahead?
Oh, also, so like most important part of that is if you check out the What's Up Weirdo YouTube page, that whole 5-hour live is on there indefinitely.
Yeah.
So you can watch it forever. There's no paywall. There's no, anything.
Friends
you can
forever.
Just watch. So that's awesome. And I know they're going to be doing more soon. So
yes,
double exciting.
Exciting. Yeah. So there's something else that you want to promo that's a little along the same lines, but more convention-esque, isn't there?
Yes. So special shout out to Pan Paracon. Some of you have maybe seen the announcement on Twitter, but it's coming back for a second year. Last year, that was the first like presentation, first interview or anything I did with Women on Earth. And so that
milestone.
But Vanessa Waliko is the organizer, and then we have Jason Shank and Mira also helping with that. And we have an amazing lineup already. And a lot of the people you've seen on the Woo Live, a lot of the people that you've seen as guests here. So it's just going to be like another buddy powwow. Shout out to Vanessa for all that work.
Truly.
Amazing.
And keeping in the convention vein, I want to shout out a convention coming up here in Maine. If anybody can get your butts up to Maine, you have to come to Maine to watch it. Damnation Land. It is a horror movie fest. I have DVDs from it. It's a real thing. It's awesome. Mainers love to make horror movies. Look at all these horror movies on here. And they're great. And we're all going to watch them together. And I may or may not be collaborated with them on something fun.
Way to check them out. A hint.
Hey.
I can do this. This is fitting.
And just to transition into one more thing, I'm collaborating with the creator, well, one of the like organizers of Damnation Land. She is a like a sex ed, like consent education worker for Speak About It. And I am going to be reading cards on September 30th at the Consent Education Science Fair. We're going to do sexy tarot readings. It's going to be really fun.
That sounds like the perfect event. The perfect
if you
event.
come up to Maine for the September 30th and you stay for a few days, that is well within a week of my birthday, and we can celebrate my 40th birthday together. So someone,
I mean,
or you could come at the end of October for Damnation Land.
Yeah, 2 fantastic options, y'all.
Look at all these reasons to visit creepy Maine.
Let's all go to creepy Maine, y'all. I've always wanted to go to what park is that up there? Acadia? Yes. Acadia.
So haunted. That is where I summoned the up.
No way. I should have known. Incredible. Love it. Love it so much.
Yeah, and then when you're up there, there's like the legend of the witch's boot that you can visit. There's all kinds of fun stuff up there.
Legend of the witch's boot. We need to hear more about this some other time. The witch's boot, all right.
Some other time.
I love it. So what have you, like, what's your song of the week this week?
Oh, geez. So I put my notes in my notes, my song of the week, because I just DJ'd a wedding and I just have one of the songs that I played just like ringing in my head. And then I had forgotten about it until I read the notes again. So I'm just like, gotta get a head sprung, gotta get a head sprung, gotta get a head sprung. It's an LL Cool J song, you guys. It's great. I've just had it in my head for days.
Perfect. I love it. And now it's stuck in all of our heads. So thank you for that. My song is called Solar Plexus, and it's by Oshun, Oshun. But I like it. It's definitely a similar vibe, but instead of like partying with your friends, it's like partying with your inner self. And your solar plexus shines brighter than your necklace is like the tag.
Oh, this is a great segue to our guest.
Yeah, definitely.
Who does a lot of work with her inner self.
Definitely. And this is going to be a really fun conversation. So our guest of the night is Amanda Paulson. You may know her as Pretty Effin' Spooky online. She's up in Washington, and I have known her for about a year or so now. She was actually one of the first people I reached out to when I was wanting to kind of dip back into this world, and gave me a lot of really good information. So love her. Excited to have her on. Without further ado, we're going to pop her on in. Hi.
Hey. Howdy. Oh, somebody else said howdy too in the chat. I'm saying howdy now because I just got back from Montana, so that's how I talk now.
It's ingrained within you.
The howdy. There's a little howdy in all of us.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. So, Amanda, I think that we always say this every single time, but get right into it because, we have a little less than an hour with you live, and you do so much stuff. And it's like every time I log onto my Instagram, I'm like, oh my gosh, Amanda has created this new reel or this new TikTok, and it's like, catching all this traction, and it's like mind blowing in theory. So we're going to talk about a variety of those tonight. But is there anything or event or something that you would like to promo as well for tonight?
Well, I mean, really soon on the 8th, I'm doing a full moon ceremony. I'm a guest speaker on a full moon ceremony with somebody named Risk Cottrell. You can find that on my page at Pretty Effin' Spooky, but that's the most... There you go. That's the thing that's happening very, very soon. It's for the Pisces full moon. So,
do you have any major Pisces placements?
I have my Venus in Pisces.
Nice.
Yeah, which is exalted, I think. I'm learning astrology right now, so.
Same.
A lot of math. A lot of math.
Yeah, I don't really know. I don't know what I'm talking about, so don't don't ask any more questions about that.
I love that you know your Venus because I'm like, I need to like pull up my chart and just sneak a little bit.
I definitely just remember that because of this Pisces full moon ceremony.
Nice.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Can you guess what my sun sign is though? I feel like I don't exude the energy that is my sun sign.
Really? I feel like you are like a Cancer or Virgo.
Definitely not a Virgo. Nope. I'm an Aries.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you've got really like.
I have an Aquarius moon.
Okay.
Which I think is like the thing that makes me more. I don't know. Again, I don't know what I'm talking about. What am I saying? We're not talking about astrology. Anyway. Moving on.
So much, you guys. Oh my goodness, about astrology. So have you do you have any song of the week that you would like to add? Anything you were jamming to on your road trip?
Yeah. So I have my phone here. I pulled it up. Well, I was listening to a podcast on my road trip a lot, which is very like not what you would expect me to listen to, which is a podcast called This Is Important with the guys from Workaholics, but that's not spooky related whatsoever.
Love those guys.
So awesome.
Yeah, hilarious. But I've been listening to Florence and the Machine's new record Dance Fever, specifically the song Daffodil, which is very good, and I feel like it's an underappreciated song on the album. So everyone should
hear everybody.
Deep track. I love it. That whole
deep cut.
The whole album.
I love Florence and the Machine. I'm the biggest Florence and the Machine fan. Everyone in my life makes fun of me for it because they think she's screaming. They're like, they're just like screaming music all the time, like her like really dramatic bellow. But I love it. I love anything that like makes me feel like I'm in a movie. That's my music.
Major music.
Yeah,
very
visual. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, she yells in key perfectly every time. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh goodness. So I think somewhere I'd like to start. You have been working on a documentary pretty much since I've known you. I know a little bit about it, but I would love whatever you can share with the public. Give us a little dish on your doc and maybe when we can expect to see it.
Absolutely. Can you guys hear my chair, by the way? It's very squeaky. Okay, cool. So I've been filming a documentary forever, it feels like, but I've since learned that that's apparently what it's like to film a documentary. But we started in 2020. I started on a documentary about a true crime story from the 1940s based out of Lake Crescent on the Olympic Peninsula. I entered in as a paranormal investigator, investigating some of the paranormal claims related to the true crime story. And then the documentary kind of took a turn, and now the documentary is more or less about my journey learning about this story, and also my I call it like my Six of Swords journey, my transformative journey through life. Basically, imagine October 2020 and how different things have been throughout the last couple of years, and also exploring like this very strange area. As Bex knows, the Olympic Peninsula is wild, and it turned into something much, much more than just a typical ghost story. So I'm very excited. It should be coming out this winter. That's been our plan all along. We have not a documentary. That's what I'm talking about. We have a website and a social media page. It's Death Is With Me. But yeah.
I look this way because this is where the chat is. Chat.
Death is with me. Which, wait, I don't know if I can say that. Death is with me. Yes, there it is. Beautiful. Great visuals, great cinematography. It's really cool. The title comes from something that came up while investigating. I think I can say that as a little breadcrumb. But yeah, it's very weird. It's very cool, and anyone who is here watching this will like it because it's definitely on par with all the weird stuff that we all like. Can I curse?
Yeah, you're fine. You're good. This is not for children.
I would not survive.
Oh my gosh, I know, right? Man, I'm obsessed, and I know that I think I can say this. Go ahead. Before I left, I know that you and I were gonna kind of work on a little project around that lake, and we didn't get to, but we will eventually, and it'll be really great. But I dove there one last time before I came over here, and I don't know if it was just because we had just been talking about it, but I was so creeped out the whole time I was diving, and there was like a certain threshold where eventually it got so deep that like there was no more lumber or sticks or anything, and it was just bare, and I was absolutely terrified to continue looking at the bottom, and I've never really felt that way before in water. So
yeah, well, there's a bunch of dead bodies at the bottom of that lake, so I mean that won't ruin the movie. That's definitely, there are so many people have seen their end at the bottom. That's it. So it's a very, very strange place. Yeah.
Begs the question that we've been talking about in this community a lot: is water haunted?
Yes,
100%.
Yeah.
But I think, well, now's not the time, probably. But water is haunted, but not in the way that we think it is. Like, I don't think there are ghosts like floating around in the water, which I've also posed that question. When I was on the cruise ship recently, I'm like, are ghosts just like buoys out in the water? You know, like, do they get trapped out there? No, I think the water itself, whatever. Anyway, is a ghost? I don't know, but yeah.
It's like a conductor of emotion and like a storer of memories in its own way. You know what I mean? I feel like that's how the ocean is haunted, and not that ghosts like have any sort of like density like issues or anything like that. But yeah, I don't know. The ocean's
floating around like
just finally able to enjoy like not drowning when they're in the water. So I would legit be a buoy if
that'd be so cool.
I love thinking about like what you were saying a little bit, Katie, about them not having density. And so I don't know, when I think about like the emotional impacts of like haunted places, and it reminds me a lot of the Realm of Weird that Penny has, where this garage had this like negative, not necessarily negative, but like very angry energy attached to it. And as long as like that wood was there, that energy would be felt like by the touch. But it came from like a salvaged pre-existing building. And so I'm thinking about how like wood can hold this emotion. So I guess what's stopping water from doing the same thing?
For sure.
I actually have an experience like within this year of an investigation I did with a house made out of wood that was salvaged from like the town used to have, what was it? It was like a fort or something. I can't remember, something to do with the war, but they salvaged wood and their grandpa or whatever built their house, and they believed it was haunted because of the wood. So it's interesting. You say it was interesting. And I got in any intelligent activity I got that night seemed to be like related to that. So I'm very down with any object being, or anything, any material. I don't know what you call that. Water, anything can be haunted.
Yeah, for sure.
Molecules, particles in the air be haunted
by any
dust?
Yeah,
air.
I think so. 100%. Katie, have you ever come across anything in your like paranormal investigating career like that, where like maybe it wasn't necessarily the space but like the materials that were haunted?
I'm sorry, my internet cut out.
Oh, you're fine. I was just asking if you've experienced, that was such a great moment.
You're like, can you imagine somebody tunes in right then and we're all just waiting for each other to talk?
There was like a couple of shows though where we had such poor connection. It really was like that. It was just like great to watch for everyone involved. So this is great. in comparison.
But I have. I have a really perfect situation. So when I was filming with Haunt Me, we went to this Leamington farmhouse that we had a ton of activity. It was like very haunted in all these different rooms. And then a new family moved in. And so the people moved all their stuff out. The new family moved in and they saw our episode and they wanted us to come back because they were worried that some of those spirits might still be there. And what was really interesting is that almost none of them were there. It was like they all left with the objects or the people or whatever. It was like not a haunted house. It was haunted life.
Haunted matter. Oh, I love that.
And so who knows what it was? I mean, we'd have to do so many more investigations, but
I think that's something that people really that are maybe on the outsider of the viewing perspective, it's really hard to, I guess, understand that or see that. But investigations take a long time unless there's like a difference between like paranormal investigating and then like ghost hunting for a night or for a weekend. It's very different. Yeah, so I feel like we can't talk about that enough. Just investigation.
Yes.
Time.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you and I, Amanda, maybe kind of touched on this on Twitter one time because I think you said something about wanting to change the word ghost hunting, which I think about all the time. I'm like all the time. But I guess that would have it. There's no one definition of ghost that anybody has. So it's a really personal.
Yeah, it's hard. I just don't, I also like don't care about what I call it, but at the same time, I'm like ghost hunting. I don't call it ghost. I don't do ghost hunting. I don't know. I also just took out paranormal investigator from my social media bios, which was a big move for me, even though I'm still very much paranormal investigating and use the hashtag paranormal investigator. Don't call me out for that if anyone notices that. But like, I just was like, what even is this? Like, there's so much going on right now in paranormal social media, like just everywhere. Everyone's into it, which is great. Love it. Expected it after 2020. I was like, there's definitely going to be this like huge resurgence of interest in this. But at the same time, it's like, what is ghost hunting and what is paranormal investigating right now is not really what I vibe with. It's not really what I feel like I'm doing right now. So, yeah. But I do investigate still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like traditional kind of like in buildings and stuff.
Yeah. But I love like just like Beck said, it takes a long time to paranormal investigate. Like I've been really down with like just the idea of, and this makes terrible content, but like just like putting myself in an area and just hanging out and just existing, because really what I'm trying to do is experience it myself. And hopefully I catch something on camera or whatever. That'd be great. But most of the time it's like just hanging out in the vicinity of paranormal phenomena is enough. Like it's better almost sometimes. Like than like pointing my camera and my flashlight at, an empty hallway and being like, make this fucking light go off, like dance monkey. Like I'm just trying to move away from that a little bit, but like I'm also, you're probably still going to see me doing that shit. So whatever. I don't know. It's just, it's weird. You go far enough into this stuff. I'm just like rambling now, but like you do it like, I'm not like, no, John Tenney. Like I haven't been doing it so long that I'm like, man, you do it long enough, like, and everything changes. But like you do it for other people's consumption long enough, like for you in an entertaining fashion.
Yes.
And if you are really passionate about researching and experiencing phenomena, then it ends up just, you go off into your own, where I'm figuring shit out. I'm calling myself a liminal being right now. I'm very liminal, very much in a liminal state of being at the moment.
Amazing.
One of my favorite.
I just went on a whole tangent.
Thank you for doing that.
one of my favorite conclusions you've kind of drawn on TikTok a bit is like the emotive haunting and experiencing like the emotions in a place. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. Any chance I get, I'd love to talk about it because I feel like it's hard to condense. I have a terrible time trying to condense things into like a really simplified version online, especially something like this. But so thank you for asking. But it's something I've been super passionate about this year. I call the paranormal emotive touch point or emotive hauntings. Which there's other theories out there that are similar to this, but I'm coming at it from the angle of experiencing odd emotions, which I describe odd emotions as like a liminal feeling or maybe deja vu or nostalgia or like any feeling that you feel kind of just strange, like the ones that really stick out and you're like, oh my God, I feel like so weird right now. When those emotions pop up, I'm theorizing that we're coming across like a soft spot in the universe and that we could hypothetically communicate with phenomena in that moment that isn't necessarily connected to the land or to the place or to whatever you're doing, but is rather something is present and it's giving you an odd emotion as like a indication that it's there. Like it's just like and it kind of goes into also the idea of like investigating more almost like universal, like, gosh, I don't even know, forces or something like not
with you.
like not investigating so much like intelligent human spirits, but just with like it, like investigating nostalgia or investigating our deja vu, asking the universe, why are you presenting me with this deja vu in this moment? What is it? What does it have to tell me about my own consciousness? Or what does it have to tell me about anything, you know? And just paying attention to like emotional cues that we come across in our day-to-day life and using it as a mode to tap into strange phenomena, basically.
Yes. I feel like so many people say that they haven't had a paranormal experience. And I'm like, no, there's so much you're overlooking that you have as a paranormal experience every day that when I saw your video, I was like, yeah. I was like, this is like on that like just like on that like idea, I guess, on that wheel rolling.
Yeah. Well, I mean, actually, it took me like, so I also talk really openly about like going through a lot of skepticism in my paranormal investigating time. I wouldn't call it a career, but you know, in the time I've paranormal investigated, I've had to fight off a lot of skepticism, a lot of self-doubt, a lot of doubt in my own experiences, and accepting that like what I am experiencing is paranormal and not just like my own psyche or whatever, myself like deceiving me, because I also have a lot of trauma, a lot of reason I think to cope in a certain way that over time I've been like, am I just creating ghosts as imaginary friends or are these actual ghosts? But that is aside now, and I'm trying my best within the last specifically this year. I had some stuff happen in the beginning of the year that kind of like broke down that wall or that obstacle for me that made it easier for me to accept all the magic and the paranormal that is happening in day-to-day life. And like, it's kind of opened up since then. But like prior to this year, I was dealing with like, I didn't see that what you're talking about before. Like I didn't see so much strangeness in everyday life. I just doubted it too much, but yeah. And then I almost got shot in January is basically what happened. I got in a drive-by shooting and as those things do, I literally feel like this is so dramatic, like metaphorically, like the sound of the gunshot, like, I don't know, knocked something out of me. Like like, I don't know, like I just like a beam of light is like, oh my God, everything's fucking weird. And like, there's ghosts everywhere. I don't know, but
yeah,
it's gotten significantly weirder since then. So it's been good. I don't know if it makes great content, but I'm glad you guys are enjoying it.
It's been fantastic. Like what, I mean, I remember when that happened and it was like, oh my gosh. And I remember you talking about, you were like doubting whether or not like you could even consider that like a trauma at some point. And you're like, what do I do with this? And we watched like that skepticism melt away. And so I think something that was really interesting that came out of that experience for you that you shared with us is like ghost hunting your own trauma. And I know that that's like 100% not something that we see in the community now. So maybe this is like a really important time to share that, because I know all of us have trauma in some way or another. Let's pop off about that a little bit.
Yeah, that just like that stuff has just kind of been, this is how you know it's something you should be doing, because it just like has been randomly popping up from like I'm obviously influenced by things I consume online, but I try to stay pretty unaware of a lot of like trends and things going on in the paranormal field, so that I can be in touch with my own intuition and like what the universe needs me to be seeing, versus like what I'm chasing because somebody else is chasing it. So I did this like spirit box. I've been like spirit box experimenting with like talking to my own consciousness, basically, either with my own trauma or this is all under the assumption too that that there is some sort of universal like force or something that can somehow intelligently communicate through these means. But also I recently did an experiment with my friend Charisse too, like where we did an Estes method where I had her communicate to my subconscious, because purely out of curiosity, because I wanted to like, I don't have enough money to get hypnosis or anything. And like, I'm just like, this should hypothetically work, right? Like I could talk to my past self, I guess, or my subconscious or whatever. And it's been like coming up with some really interesting results, and I want to do more of it, but it's like also one of those things that I don't know if I can figure out how to share without exposing myself in a really vulnerable manner, so it's like kind of I'm like, I don't know yet what I'm going to do with it. I do have subscriptions on my Instagram now. Shameless plug for that, but I don't know. I've been sharing some in there. There's 6 subscribers. Thank you to those 6 people that I've been sharing more of that stuff with lately. But it just doesn't feel. I have to like play with it still, and figure out like what I can share with people, because it's obviously like shit that's like, like I don't know, it's sad and like weird, and it's cool though, and it seems to be working. And here's the thing, it's working, I don't mean like I don't know. Here's that skepticism again. I don't know if it's me speaking through the spirit box, but obviously there's so much importance in what we hear in the spirit box anyway. Like that's really what it's about, is like what we hear in the moment. Like that's what we're meant to hear, like it's like, especially when like, so for instance, on the documentary, the first time we investigated, they had all the equipment to hook up themselves to the spirit box that I was listening to. Like we had like a bunch of stuff going on where they could hear it. Well, they listened to it later in post. Is that what people call it? In editing? I don't know. And it just sounded like absolutely nothing, and I'm like, yeah, like that's kind of, I think, like part of it, and I know you guys have done a lot of stuff with the spirit box too. But I also like visualize a lot with the spirit box too, which is a huge part of it. But
yeah,
I'm tempted to go back to the site of the drive-by shooting to like investigate, but also it's not a safe part of town, clearly. So I don't feel like that's a good idea, but I've been playing with the idea of remote viewing to it. So we'll see if that happens. But
I wonder if there's like a bridge formed between a version of you that was left at the scene and who you are now, and if you can just like easily like connect into that person.
When I've thought about that too, and there is a lot of stuff out there about like soul retrieval and like soul fracturing and stuff. But then I thought to myself, I'm like, well, do I really want to be doing that? Because I think I'm better off without that part of me. Like it's like a shed that like I don't need. So then I'm like, okay, well, what is the purpose? So right now, and with a lot of themes. A huge theme in my life is like, what's the purpose? What am I doing it for? Like, because I'm moving away from ghost hunting or like just hunting the thrill of all of this, I'm trying to find more purpose for myself. So, you know, like if I were to remote view and cross that bridge and find that fracture of myself, what am I doing with it? You know, like what good is it? I don't know.
I don't know.
That was such a good question, Katie.
Well, and maybe, you know, time is like cyclical. So maybe there's still answers to things you haven't experienced in that part of you. Maybe just talking to her is cool.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a really good point. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I really like talking about, you know, that journey between being a very much traditional ghost hunter, and then we start to get introduced to these bigger ideas and these connecting so intuitively and exploring your inner self. I think it shows like two things. One is to me, like how important my witchcraft practice is to all of this paranormal exploring. And I think that allows us to develop so many skills that then become essential. And Katie Webb was someone who definitely has taught me that. But then, like, I think the second thing is it's really cool to kind of compare our experiences going from that traditional perspective to, you know, instead of looking for, you know, shock and awe and action and thrill, we're looking for deeper meaning, and synchronicities are guiding us, and there's like this bigger path. And so it's always fun to kind of compare and contrast, because I feel like in some ways all three of us have taken that path. And it's just a really interesting one when you meet another doing it.
Yeah. I think there seems to be, like, choosing my words carefully actually here, but I'm seeing that trend a little bit in a certain niche community that are like almost like we're being encouraged from within, from different people within this niche community to explore all of these different themes. Like I'm not seeing it trending in the popular, like on a larger scale, but I am seeing it within this like smaller community, trying to search for just deeper meaning and, you know, whatever. I am I'm jiggling. I knocked my computer. Sorry.
That's totally fine. I actually see a really good comment here from Allie. I'd love to know astrologically your chart, if it shows anything from that experience, the drive-by, and maybe changing something.
Why didn't I ever think of that? Oh my god.
We're not astrology. We got so much swirling up there already.
I'm still trying to figure out what my Venus means and stuff. I'm on new, but I haven't even thought about doing that. That's genius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let us know if you do.
I'll be doing that after this. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Oh my gosh. That's so great. Thank you for sending that. That's blowing my Ooh, indeed. I'm catching up on the comments now. I forget.
I know I am.
Wait, guys, it's so hard to keep up. It's so great to see everyone's side conversations, but when you get really into the conversation with the guests, it's like I forget the other people are here. And that's why our show is so fun. So moving on, like, to maybe another topic. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. Sorry, my internet's not very good. If I'm talking over you guys, I just literally, it's all like do. Yeah, but I really want to get into talking about how you induced sleep paralysis on yourself.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been sitting on this for a while. I started doing this, like, gosh, would it be, I guess almost a year ago, like last fall is when I started, but then I sat on sharing it for a while because I'm cautious about what I share online. But I do have a blog post up about this if anyone's interested for like the fine details, prettyfandspooky.com. But yeah, I started playing with the idea of self-inducing sleep paralysis. I had about a decade-long experience with frequent sleep paralysis. that then stopped when I moved. Actually, when I moved in with my my boyfriend in this place that I live in now, we moved in here end of 2019, and about that same time, my sleep paralysis stopped entirely. And I found that in all this while that I was having the sleep paralysis, I was scared of it. I didn't like it. I was wondering when it would stop, or I was wondering why it was happening to me. And it kind of evolved over time, where it was like I was seeing detailed people, one or more people in sleep paralysis. Then the paralysis started going away, and it started kind of just being like this hallucinatory experience that was happening in that moment between waking and sleeping. But it ended, and I stopped having it. Oh no, Katie went away for a second. That looked trippy.
Yeah.
But yeah. But it went away. The sleep paralysis stopped. And then I realized, I was like, oh man, I miss it in a weird way. Or rather, I feel like I had a missed opportunity. Like something was telling me I should explore this, like this realm. And I didn't take the opportunity. So then I started thinking, well, how can I make sleep paralysis happen again? And that's when I kind of developed my own method for inducing sleep paralysis, which I can go over for you guys if you would like.
I love it. Bring on the M's.
But I'll do it with caution, because I do mention some like herbs, some tea. Obviously, everyone listening to this, do your own research. Make sure that anything you're consuming is okay for you. But I began first. It started in my spiritual practice, in my witchcraft, and in my craft, I started incorporating dream herbs, like anything that was kind of an ally for like dream work, or intuitive work or whatever. So my main plant ally now, actually in life, is mugwort. It's my favorite, my favorite plant. So I started incorporating mugwort into my practice with the intent of doing dream work and having this kind of open up, hypothetically open up this like threshold to that other side, or like kind of welcome it in. And then I also started drinking mugwort blended tea before bed, as well as going on and off with that, and melatonin, which is a sleep vitamin, but only in small spurts as well, because you're not supposed to take melatonin for too long in a row. But basically, I was trying to make myself very sleepy and ready for bed, which is something I had to do in particular, because I don't go to bed easily. Like I'm somebody who lays on their phone until the second I fall asleep. You know, like I don't have like great sleep habits. So I started with kind of helping myself out, making myself sleepy, incorporating into my dream work, and with my guides, my ancestors, the spirits that I work with, kind of letting them know what I was trying to do, work on my daily protection, so I felt overall generally protected. And then basically I would set myself up in my room, lay on my back, turn on a recorder that records what you say in your sleep, and in hopes that I say anything in my sleep, and then let myself kind of drift off into a like daydreaming state, like where your eyes are half open and you're kind of zoning out until a tingling sensation kind of happens from head to toe. If you've had sleep paralysis before, it's very common to feel like a static feeling in your body, or like your heart start to race. And that's typically when you're like going in. I'm not a scientist. I'm also not educated. Like I have no education, so I don't know what this is called. But you know, when your body's like trying to fall asleep and you're like not falling asleep. But side tip, if you don't want sleep paralysis to happen, don't sleep on your back, because that's when sleep paralysis is likely going to happen. But yeah, and then I would do that, and I found that it worked pretty well. I would start with, what was interesting is that in doing this, I realized that the feeling of fear, like the just fear in general, like however your body produces fear, that would just happen naturally. Even though I was completely in control of the situation and knew what was going on, my heart would race and my body felt like it was in fear. And it was about that time then the shadows kind of start shifting and moving, and you start thinking you're seeing, I'm basically inducing like hallucinations, but without any anything. It's all legal. Yeah. But yeah, that was a really wordy explanation, but it's very weird. And I'm still working on it because I get to that point and then I either wake up or I fall asleep. So it's still in the works, but since I put it out, I talked on a podcast about it. I put it on my blog. I'm hoping other people, if they feel comfortable, if they feel mentally prepared for something like that, I'm hoping other people try it and can like let me know how it goes, because I can't seem to communicate with anything in my sleep paralysis. Like my body does what my body wants to do, which is get scared and wake up or fall asleep. So
right.
Yeah, but I should also say too, all of this work, all of this dream work, well, I'm going to talk about it in the full moon ceremony here on the 8th soon. And also it's led to a really like a good, not daily, but like a weekly meditation practice, which I didn't have previously. But in the last year, I've gotten really into meditating. And it seems to be something that I'm strong suited in, like something that I enjoy. So I'm trying to run with that and see like where that takes me. Because clearly there is something there that I need to be working with, some kind of energy that I need to be working with in that like dream space, astral space, you know, like something's telling me to be in there. So yeah.
Fun.
Yeah. Spooky.
Man. I love it because it reminds me of like when you're starting to learn how to lucid dream, but then, you know, it forks off and it becomes very much like your own and very sleep paralysis forward. But I personally have never experienced sleep paralysis. And so I'm curious of the process of like, can I give myself sleep paralysis for the first time? And what happens for the repercussions of that, I guess.
You probably could. From this experience, I've learned that you definitely can induce sleep paralysis, I think, but it's very scary. It's like not like, and I don't mean that in like I'm the badass and like I can do it. Like, no, it's like scary and it scares me still. It's weird. It's very weird. And I don't get it. And I know that there are people out there smarter than myself that understand more about it. And I know that there are a lot of medical, like very scientific reasons why sleep paralysis happens in the first place. I just think it's funny what happens after sleep, like when sleep paralysis is going on and how everyone has such similar experiences. And also like, I know what I saw. I mean, I was seeing full-fledged ghosts essentially, but like ghosts that had nothing to do with me. Like, in these years that I was experiencing a lot of sleep paralysis, I at one point, you know, I look over and there's just this woman with this big dress and this like headpiece walking through my hallway. It's just like weird stuff like that. And like, I'm not a medium. I can't see ghosts. I'll tell you right now, I don't walk around seeing ghosts. That's not how it works for me. I get, you know, I think we're all like sensitive, especially after, you know, you get into this stuff so far, but I don't just see them like that. So there's something happening there that's strange that I don't get, but I'm exploring it, I guess, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, I think it's worth exploring.
Absolutely.
Back in my drug days, we all used to take Ambien and try to stay awake because it's kind of the opposite thing, where instead of inducing sleep, like you're inducing that like tripping moment as you're falling asleep.
Yeah. I used to have a boyfriend in a long time ago, had a boyfriend who would do that. Well, he was actually prescribed to Ambien, but like would just be like, I'm staying up past it. I'm like, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Sounds wild.
But again, mugwort and melatonin is totally
yes.
Yeah. Man.
I've actually, like, for all my weed smokers out there, I used to combine mugwort and cannabis all the time and have really great meditation sessions. My current meditation like routine is, I'm turning 40 this year, so I'm having all those like aging like things going on. So every morning for 5 minutes I wear one of those like cold masks for my puffy eyes, but I meditate at the same time. So
that's smart.
like,
Yeah. I love that. I've tried to meditate with weed, but I like it, I just like get so knocked out. It's like I just fly off into space and it's like, and I don't remember it. Like it's cool in the moment, but I don't know. It's hard for me. Weed is legal here in Washington, but we have all the edibles, and so I'm a big like half a gummy at a time kind of gal, like very little. Yeah, and that does me over for the entire night.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I had like this thought because I was reminded of a lot of Katie and I's earlier sessions that then created the show. And Katie and I would just kind of go into astral together, and it would always start with like, oh, we're gonna like meditate together and maybe we'll do Estes. But I ended up having a lot of visuals as well, like you were saying earlier. And so I really liked leaning into that, and Katie was like the perfect person to do that with. But we experimented a lot with flying ointments. And so I'm curious if there is maybe a certain concoction that you could use or create for that exact experience of inducing.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I have a couple of flying ointments that I've bought on Etsy, but it may be worth it for me to look into experimenting with making my own, so that I can inject a little bit more of my own intention and also whatever I want to be in there. But I have one flying ointment that I had the last time I was out at Lake Crescent, not filming, but I had to stay out in a cabin out there, and that's the last time I really used it. But that's a great idea. I need like a notepad. I need to look at my chart for when I almost got shot.
Yes.
So casual about it. When I almost got shot. So I need to look at my chart, and then I also need to look into flying ointment, which I have no clue how to make.
Make it sleep.
I'm very dumb. Not in a self-deprecating way.
Not.
I just like am. I just like am literally dumb. No. Astro chart.
Love it though, because I'm like sitting here thinking of all of these dream herbs that I've been studying for like Luminal Earth formularies. And so now I'm like, all the ones that there's like a bunch that we obviously didn't use. I'm like, oh, what about this? Maybe this was, and I'm trying to see if there's some that have like shadow sides or something. I'm just trying to lead into the sleep paralysis side. But I'm like they're pretty easy to manufacture if you're doing.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm not like, I'm certainly not a green witch by any means, and I'm not a kitchen witch either. I don't make anything. I do everything like the absolute most difficult way and the most chaotic way. I actually piss off a lot of like, I think it's Virgos. Who's a Virgo? Are one of you a Virgo?
Oh
no. I'm very chaotic. I have no idea how to make anything. I'm just like, I just like try stuff, which it has its own benefits, like I'm just like whatever, but like I never like look up how to, I don't know. I'm just flying by the seat of my pants like every day.
Honestly, your internet presence does not present that way. You present really put together and like really like thoughtful and intuitive. Everybody, if you're not following Amanda on TikTok, like it's worth getting a TikTok. Her TikTok is crazy good. There's too many great videos to share all of them. I tried to share a bunch. I've been sharing everything we've talked about on Twitter today. So get on Twitter after we do this too. But yeah, you do not come across chaotic at all.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm typically figuring out what to do like within the moment. Like I'll just be sitting on, I've literally, the video you shared on TikTok about the TikTok egregore. I was pooping. Sorry for anyone who doesn't want to hear that. But I was like pooping and I'm just like scrolling TikTok and I'm like, oh my God, there's so many of these videos that are like, this sound will like make you money or whatever. And then I had that idea. I was like, oh my God, this is an egregore. I'm going to make a video about it. Or like, I have a 9-to-5 day job. Like I'll post things right as I'm getting to work. Yeah. But at this point, I think it's like now I'm like stuck in my ways and I'm kind of like, you know what? I think I'm meant to be like this. I think I need to just don't fix what isn't broken or whatever, like I just.
Absolutely. It is working.
Honestly. It is 100%. I'm super curious about what's like some of that feedback that you got from the whole TikTok egregore phenomenon that you kind of called out.
Yeah, some of the feedback I got. Well, so a lot of people were like, "Isn't this manifesting?" For anyone, I guess not everyone has probably seen this TikTok, so I should explain it. But like I just presented the idea that like when enough people believe in something, you know, it kind of creates its own and not maybe entity in this instance, but its own energy, its own force to be reckoned with. You know, it like creates this like ball of energy. And I think these videos that everyone wants to believe, you know, will bring them money or will bring them success or will make them go viral. Enough people are believing in them that they're actually working at this point. And a lot of people were like, most people were down with it, but a lot of people on TikTok, especially that audience, is just a little different and a little bit more audacious with the way that they speak to people. But they were like, isn't this just manifesting? Isn't this just like, and yes, but no. Like, I'm kind of proposing the idea that it's a bunch of people inserting the same energy into one idea, and it's creating its own thing that can then, now that song has that energy and can go create that for somebody else outside of TikTok, you know, not just like you're manifesting your own stuff or your own destiny or whatever, you know. So most people are done. TikTok's so weird. The algorithm, it just depends on the mood of the algorithm, like where the videos go.
True.
It's
the
true.
Own being.
Yeah, for sure. Like we talk about that at Luminal Earth a lot. Like any video that we have that does like just ridiculously well, we did not plan and did not expect. It's always the ones that we put like the most in time to that do like absolute dog shit. We're like, okay. But then it's, you know, it's humbling when it does happen because you're like, oh, okay. But TikTok just doesn't really allow you to like curate, you know, your content a certain way that you can like guarantee engagement. It's very bizarre. I know that we have just a few minutes left, but I think a really good segue, I know that Katie put on our notes, was wondering, you know, how content creation has changed the way that you go about a lot of your ghost practices and things. Yeah. Anything you wanted to add to that, Katie?
Yeah. Well, just as a person that was filming a show, but who also has a private way that I am with ghosts and deities and everything like that, like there are two different ways of being for me. And so I'm assuming that you feel the same way.
Yeah. This is something I think about daily. Like it's something that it is heavy on me all the time. Probably the thing I think about the most. And I struggle with deciding, like, I think that some vulnerability and some transparency about what I'm doing in the paranormal field is like I'm meant to be sharing. And I think also the way that I am and like my affect, it like is intended to be shared in a way that is very like transparent and like telling people like the stuff that sometimes I would like to keep to myself. But I think maybe if I share it, it'll help other people feel less alone or, you know, whatever, more emboldened in their own work. But there's definitely stuff that I keep private and that I probably will always keep private. And it's probably going to be more, it's more my spiritual practice is very like, especially like the spirits I work with and like what the actual, like where I'm drawing inspiration from, my ancestry. I've actually been a little bit more open about my ancestry on social media recently, which has been a little scary. And that lately I've been like, I dip my toe in and then I bring it back and I'm like, I don't know if I want to talk about that or not, but yeah, I don't know. So I don't even know. I have no, like, I haven't gotten it figured out yet. I don't know what to share or what not to share. I'm still learning. But the internet is scary sometimes.
So mean.
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of people out there who are just waiting and watching all of us who are out here trying really hard to take our own path and to find our own authentic like way in the world. There are a lot of people out there who are looking for ways to commodify that and ways to adopt that for themselves, which to a degree is okay. That's how people learn and grow. And like, we all need to like share this shit with each other, whatever. But also, you know, you start to kind of feel like you're not your own person anymore. Like there's like 10 of you out there or something. Like, I don't, I don't know. Anyway, that got a little weird, but yeah, I relate to keeping a lot private, but I'm also in the process of figuring out what I can or should share.
Yeah. I feel like that answers it perfectly. Like, it doesn't appear that way at all. Like Katie was saying, you know, it's just, especially like your Instagram, it's just so curated and beautiful, and you have all of these wonderful ideas, and you're just so open. Yeah. It's interesting to think about, like, what's going on in that head of hers.
A lot. Oh, too much. That's like, not to beat a dead horse with this, but like, that's another thing too. And something I've learned with researching astrology and my own birth chart is there's some elements of myself that I've learned are in there in the birth chart that, well, we're all unique and quirky. I think we all like to think we're special. So, and we are. I like going back on every single thing I say. Like, we're all trying to look for ways that we feel like unique from the other. In my research in my birth chart, I realized that there were some like unsavory elements of it that were like really had me reflecting on like how I present myself and like the reasons why I present things. Like I've had a lot, I've dealt a lot with ego, in my own ego. And I thought for a long time I didn't have a problem with ego. And like, I always thought I was so high and mighty and doing things for the, you know, the highest good of all. And I wasn't for a long time. And so now I'm like, kind of on social media, I get stuck where it's like, who am I doing this for? You know, why am I doing this? Why am I sharing this? And trying to think before I share and make sure I have like some kind of purpose. You know, it doesn't have to be, I don't have to be saving the world, but and also it's okay to post something stupid and like want to be viral. That's okay too. I have tons of friends who are doing really well online and post a lot of silly, fun stuff that is like great to consume. I love it. But yeah, I'm like all over the place with this, but okay, to sum it up, I've learned that I am very strange. There are some ways that I think that are a little, can like kind of piss some people off, or like people don't like, that are vulnerable for me to share, that I want to hold tight. But I think sometimes it needs to be out. Like there's something in me that's like pushing it outward. Like there's some kind of purpose to it. So, but again, like I said, I'm a liminal being right now. I'm in a very liminal state. I'm trying to figure my stuff out. Cause like a year and a half ago, I was just ghost hunting the shit out of everywhere and like trying to be the next big ghost hunter. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it didn't fit for me. It was just like it wasn't making any sense. And the universe was like screaming at me every day. It was like, this is not what you're supposed to be doing. Like you need to be doing something else. So I'm figuring it out, you know?
Cool.
Well, we're here for the ride, wherever it takes you.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
It's been so nice having you here.
Yeah, it's been fun.
I think wrapping it up, if you want to tell people where they can find you. I know we've touched a few, but just in conclusion, give us your socials, anything you want people to check out, and then we can hop off live, take a break, and then we'll hop into the Patreon bonus.
Ooh, yeah. Well, I'm Pretty FN Spooky on all platforms, prettyfnspooky.com, and then Death is With Me is my documentary coming out, but you can find all the links to everything I've talked about tonight in my bio on Instagram. But,
boom.
Yes.
I shared a bunch of stuff on Twitter while we were talking. If it looks like I wasn't paying attention, I was sharing stuff on Twitter.
Multitasking. I love it.
Like awesome. I can't add to the chat. So I was like, you know what? All these people found this on Twitter. Here we go. Yeah. We'll put that on Twitter.
Cool.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on. And
thanks everybody for coming.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Awesome. Night, guys.
Good night, everybody.
Hey, everyone.